Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, hands-free. Now they're all pretty much essential nowadays, but if you haven't got them in your car or you're looking at building a better system, here's how you fit a new head unit. Right, so all aftermarket head units are essentially universal, which means your dashboard might not be that shape. Now to combat this, you have to buy a separate fascia adapter, that's how we're going to get it in, and a wiring harness. Now your wiring converter is basically, this will take your particular model of car and you'll be able to plug it in, and then it should convert all the wiring to ISO, which is basically what your head unit takes. It's just an adapter between a universal head unit and to make it fit your particular vehicle. Right, so when you're fitting your head unit, it's pretty much a plug and play job, but we'll tell you what the wires mean anyway, because you know no one ever does that. So basically a standard ISO block will have all these wires. Now it comes in two parts. These wires here are all your speakers outputs, so basically green, purple, grey and white. And now I can never remember which one is which. I know the grey and the white are the rear speakers and the green and the purple are the front, but you can work that out as you go along. You've got permanent live, which is 12 volt, always live. You've got switch live, which is 12 volt, only on with the ignition. Got the earth, which is a chassis earth, and then you've got illumination and the remote wire. Now the remote wire is quite important if you're going to put in an amplifier or you need it for your antenna, but these are basically what you get on a universal head unit. So the first job, after disconnecting the battery, safety first and all that, is getting the standard head unit out. Now it's different on different cars, so I'd always recommend doing your research first. Now some motors you might need special keys to pop out the head unit. Other cars like this one, you can take it out with some simple tools. This particular car is a VW Caddy and it's quite easy to get out. Now, as I said, it's different on different cars. So on my Beetle, it just pops out with a couple of keys. On my Skyline, you have to take it out off the dash. Now, this one's somewhere in the middle and you can take it out using one of these. So the first job is to get off the face so you can actually get to the head unit. So it's not hard on this, just pop the face off and then you can get to the head unit with a couple of torque screws. Now these are T20s and there's 4 of them, and all we're going to do is undo them and then we should be able to pull the head unit out of the dash. Right, now we've got the screws out, we should be able to just wiggle this out of the dash. There you go, and we get to the actual wiring behind. Now most cars there's 2 bits of wiring you need to worry about. That's the antenna, which is obviously for your radio, and then there's the main harness block. So on this one, it pops out like this. And there you go, head unit out. So now we can check we've got the right harness adapter, and in this case it just plugs in. That's going to go off to the head unit, and then we've got another one here for the radio aerial. So let's get that in. Lovely. Now we can check it all works. So our new head unit comes with a Sat-Nav antenna and a microphone for the hands-free kit. Now all you do with these is you run them through behind the dash and up to where you want to mount them. I've already done that because you don't want to see me just taking dash apart and all that sort of stuff, but it's just a simple case of running the wires, and we've got a mic here and then we've got the Sat-Nav antenna over there. So this is the point where I'd normally just plug in the head unit and check it all works before we start assembling the dash. Now in this case it's a Volkswagen, so they work on a slightly different system. So what they work on is CAN bus. Now CAN bus is a permanently live system. It sends a signal when you turn on the ignition to the standard head unit, which turns it on and off. Now you don't have that with an aftermarket head unit, so you have to find a live feed. Finding a live feed's pretty easy. In this case we need a switch live. So that means it's one that comes on and off with the ignition, which you turn your head unit on and off. You can find one with a multimeter. Now I've wired mine to the back of the heater, which is what a lot of people do on Volkswagens. You can wire it to the fuse box. There's various places where you can do it, but all you need to remember is on a Volkswagen you need an extra switch live to turn your head unit on and off with the ignition. So now I've got my feed in, I've plugged it all in, and we're just going to check that it fires up before we start putting the dash back together. There you go, lovely. So there's a couple of ways you might want to mount your aftermarket stereo to the dash depending on the car you got. Some of them use this cage that go around.
We don't need that because we've got side brackets. Now we bracket them on and make sure they all line up. Right, so we're all in place, my phone's paired, we're all ready to go. That's how you fit a head unit.